Unit 51 News on Channel 3 with Bill Boring News. And Bob Hapless and Justice Paramount as our two journalists.
With Tornado Ted as cameraman. Come on, Tornado Ted!
Good morning, Melanie! What another fantastic day here. But before we head to the weather, let's go to a truly gripping story. And it may seem just fine here. It is not so fine right now by the Tigris River. Here with more information on this is Bob Hapless in Iraq. Hey Bob, how's it going over there?
I'd say it's going pretty good over here, Bill. But before we take a look, go over what's going on right now with this very well-known river that is, let's take a look back at the history. Here is a map of ancient civilizations like Mesopotamia. Some technological innovations that were made in this area were the sickle, the hoe, and the plow that were all used for farming. Most of these civilizations of this fertile crescent area lived in a hierarchy. For those of you at home that don't know, a hierarchy is a political system, much like the caste system of India, where there are levels of social acceptance and structure, and also belief. Usually peasants are on the bottom, and the people that belong to the religion and rulers are on the top, and then it's usually artisans and scribes, and slaves being all the way down on the bottom. Many of these are part of religious beliefs. There were ziggurats and temples built in many of the cities and villages in ancient Mesopotamia. So, through writing, people in the Fertile Crescent area were able to communicate well with other people and pass down farming techniques. Civilizations in Mesopotamia generally had some form of monarchy or government.
It seems we have lost connection with Bob Hapless, but now we go to Justice Paramount to finish the story.
There were four main civilizations in this area. Sargon was the ruler of Akkad, Hammurabi and Nebuchadnezzar had ruled of Babylon, Darius was the ruler of Persia, and the Phoenicians and the Hittites had control of this area. One of these cities that was formed by these civilizations was the city of Baghdad, Iraq, which is right where I am currently. These civilizations had many technological innovations. One of them was that irrigation was improved greatly by creating rows and columns of canals traveling throughout the cities and villages. A second innovation was the remarkable cedar plow, which had greatly increased farming, in which the plow would plow the fields, but it would plant seed at the same time. A third marveling innovation of technology was cuneiform, which was the very first way or form of writing. When the civilizations and urbanization use of this river happened, one of the things that it was used for was trade routes. A few more examples are that many people use the river as a source of water, a source of food because the birds that live near it, irrigation reasons, and to create a surplus for the citizens that live near the river. One more thing that happened was that the citizens and civilizations near the river would occasionally use the river to help with masonry. Back to you, Bill.
Nowadays, the river isn't so healthy. Since it's the main source of water, many cities have been built on the Tigris, Baghdad, for example. These cities have numerous factories, many of which have found that the easiest way to get rid of waste is to dump it into the river. Because of this, the river is extremely polluted. The locals say that if you take a fish and cut it open, you can smell the oil from the river. Salinization is also affecting the river, causing excess salt. The people aren't the only bad ones, though. Every time the river floods, it washes the polluted water all over the land, poisoning crops and drinking water. This used to be a good thing back when the river was clean. The river also transports pollutants to other cities downstream on the river. To fix the pollution, Shawaki Karim started the non-government organization. He wants to remove garbage and plant gardens alongside the river. He is the president of the National Association for the Defense of the Environment and Children. They use 1,000 workers to stop the pollution, mostly volunteers. They get donations from the volunteers and other people. They don't want to work with the Coalition Prevention Agency, as the CPA allows companies to dump their waste into the river. Also, the Kirko wastewater treatment plant is being reopened, starting sewage treatment again. The river isn't just bad, though. It helps the economy by making shipping easier for the factories on the river. Back in ancient Mesopotamia, the river helped the economy greatly. It gave them fertile soil, which gave the civilization a surplus of food, which they could then sell. Selling all this made them rich. Some of the negative effects are that even though they use the river for water technology, it desiccates marshland. Another thing is depleted soil nutrients, which doesn't help the crops grow.
Hello, I'm Tornado Ted. May I ask you a few questions about the Tigris River?
Yes, I'd be happy to talk about one of the world's most famous rivers.
Alright, so what two water quality parameters do you think should be monitored for our river?
Well, based on our extensive research, I'd say that the two most important parameters are toxins and salinity.
Ah, I see. How do you think these should be monitored?
Well, let's start with salinity. You measure it by taking demineralized water and pouring it into a titrator. Then you pour salinity reagent into the titrator, and then you look at the color of the water, read the number on the titrator, and then divide it by 4. As for toxins, what kind of toxins are you talking about?
Our river has mostly oil, but it contains a lot of heavy metal like lead.
Oh, does it? Well, you can measure oil by measuring the hydrocarbons in the water. You can do this by using gravimetric methods. To measure lead, we gather a couple samples of the water, and then we send them to the lab. They do the rest.
That was very informative. I hope to see you again soon.
Yes, I think you will.